they don't want to address it. They don't want to say anything about it because they are afraid of those people showing up at their front doorstep. And the thing is, I'm not saying, hey, come get me, or that I want you. I don't want to create issues. I don't want to have problems. I don't want to end up being able to go against an authority figure. But I'll be damned if you're going to end up dictating to me, that you're going to end up being able to control me and or being able to hurt my loved ones because you have a badge or because you think that you're better than me, that you have authority over me. I mean, and again, if the rest of our country is based off of what is going on here in California, I would like to see some massive, major changes here in California. I would like to be able to see San Francisco back to where you can go down there and you don't have to worry about your car getting broken into and your suitcase getting taken. Going to Oakland and going to a ball game and not have to worry about getting mugged or getting shot. I mean, the thing is being fearful where you're going to end up going to be able to spend your hard-earned money. It's ludicrous to be able to think that these people are going and still being innovative. And here in California, we don't have a governor that is actually doing what he's supposed to be doing. We don't have politicians here making good decisions on California's behalf, saying that you have to comply. I mean, I don't want my loved ones to die. If there's a shot that can end up making you feel better, but I would still like to make sure that it's something that's going to help you.
Well, yeah, look at Ozempic. Ozempic is going to make you lose weight, but also stop taking it. Guess what? Stomach paralysis,
yes.
And then so the magic pill,
doesn't exist
unless we're in the Matrix, it just doesn't exist.
Exactly.
So
I mean, the side
why
effects
are we pushing that when if you look at the history, doesn't matter if you're looking at the Bible, it doesn't matter if you're looking at the Quran, it doesn't matter really what book you're looking at. If you look at any historical book, it's all been about struggle.
Correct.
We have to struggle. We have to get back to being uncomfortable. Up until a few hundred years ago, we had to watch out for cats hunting us. So the fact that we're so comfortable, I feel like, is part of the problem.
Yes.
On top of the fact that it seems like, and again, I don't know much, it's just my outtake on what I'm looking at. It just seems like there's this cult being formed. And the reason I call it a cult is because in a cult, if you disagree with something, well, you're excommunicated. You got to be silenced. You can't joke about it. You can't talk about it. You can't be on the other side even a little bit. And to your point again, it really, really worries me to see what goes on in California, because it seems like historically what goes on in California will slowly trickle out to the rest of the country.
Correct. Well, I mean, you could see it also from New York. So it trickles from New York and or California and then kind of trickles in.
And they're both dealing with the same political views right now.
Absolutely. I mean, to be able to say that you're going to end up being able to take a sitting president and you're going to end up a president of the United States, and you're going to drag him through the mud, making all these accusations and doing all these nonsense things of being able to devalue his property and being able to make him say, well, the property is actually worth this, and they're saying, well, you're it's just nonsense to me. I mean, to be able to do that to any person, let alone the president of the United States of America.
But let me ask you this part, just because you just brought up the property value thing. So it's so comical to me because from what I understand, there is hundreds of people that are wealthy enough to buy the Mar-a-Lago property, and they're like, oh, if it was really worth what the judge is claiming it, first of all, it would never be on the market, and every single person that had a couple $1 million would buy it. But secondly, I just got done reading an article that said that the tiny homes, like the things that they're building for homeless people out in California, are now selling for over $1 million. So if something like that is selling for $1 million, then why is Trump's property in Mar-a-Lago not worth what he said it's worth, even if he's inflated it by 2 or 3 million?
and who cares? I mean, the lenders end up being able to state before they give you a loan, they end
And
up
they're
being
gonna
able
make
to
the money. They're
verify.
gonna make the money off of it.
Yes, they're verifying and being able to say, I'm going to loan you this money on this property, and they value it at this. It's up to them to be able to choose. And now they're saying, well, he didn't pay enough in taxes because he underestimated. No, the lenders ended up being able to lend him the money on the amount that he said the property was worth. But now you're saying that he paid less taxes because he was understating the value of his property, which sounds like a crock of shit to me.
Well,
I mean,
it was
it doesn't
it was
take a
my
rocket scientist.
it was my understanding that they were saying he was overstating the value, saying that, and it doesn't even seem like he is, because it seems like everybody that owns property says that his property is worth this amount, and for the judge to come in and say, oh, this property's not worth, and I'm just throwing bullshit numbers out there because I don't know anything, but the judge
Yeah.
basically comes out and says, this property's not worth 50 million, it's worth 4 million. And every single person with money was like, if you could get land in Mar-a-Lago for $4 million, we would all have it.
Okay, so I put it in that perspective because don't you pay more in taxes if you value your property higher?
Sure.
If he valued it lower, right? And the thing is they're saying that he ended up being able to undervalue or overvalue. You're saying he overvalued
So
it
from what I
or
understand,
undervalued?
they're saying
From
that
what
he
you
overvalued it for loan
overvalued it.
purposes. For loan purposes. But
Okay, but then
if
you're
that's
paying
the
more in taxes.
but if that's
And
the case, if that's the case, you are paying more for taxes, and also shouldn't the banks be in charge with being charged with fraud because they allowed it to happen?
exactly. And the
You
thing
wouldn't
is
put your
they
money, you wouldn't put $100 million out on a $10 million property, no matter
exactly.
who's paying you the money.
Exactly. Exactly. So it's just that whole scenario of what's going on right now in New York, dealing with the previous president, the 45th president, correct,
Correct.
of the United States of America, and you're going to end up putting him through all this nonsense. It's ludicrous. I mean, when you stop and think about it, if you have any sense about yourself, you would look at it and go, "This is just nonsense." But you got how many people end up being able to get right on that bandwagon and oh, that makes perfect sense. Like I don't see how it makes perfect sense.
And
I mean,
it
somebody
just,
explain it to me.
to me, the only thing that seems logical when I look back at everything as objectively and unbiased possible,
Yes, sir.
because for the most part, I've spent my life being more left leaning than right, but it seems like over the past 8 years, there's been a whole complete switch. And so, for example, if Trump were to come out today and said, I'm in support of Obamacare, everybody that loves Obamacare would be like, fuck Obamacare. We can't do that shit. So it
Right.
seems like to me that even the smart decisions that are made, and I'm not supporting one side or the other here, I'm just objectively taking a look at what's going on and trying to figure out what the fuck is going on in my country. It just
Correct.
seems like all the smart things that should be happening,
Are
people won't even give it a consideration because it's never Trump. It's blue no matter who. I
right.
don't need to I don't need to know what his politics are. I just need to know that he said it. So if Trump doesn't want war, I need war. If Trump wants free speech, we can't have free speech.
Right.
It's just a really weird thing. If Trump wants open border, but here's the weird thing about the border. I don't know how that became a Trump and Biden thing. The only time in the history of the world that there's ever been an open border is since Biden took office.
Correct.
Obama, and I've posted on it, and I'll throw another link up here in this video as I'm doing it. Obama had the same border beliefs as everybody else. And I've got the speech to prove it. It's just, you can't think about the border as your house. Do you leave your door unlocked at night? Not anymore,
No.
maybe in the 1930s, but and there's a
Right.
reason. There's a reason for that. It's not because you don't love people, and it's not because you don't have friends. And there's probably 90% of the people that probably would walk through your door if it was open probably are there for a good reason. They're hungry, they're starving, they're your friend, they just want conversation, they're humans.
Correct.
Those are the
Correct.
things that are happening. But
Yeah.
lest you forget that 10%, that somebody's there to murder, somebody's there to rape, somebody's there to do something that they're not supposed to be doing. There's a reason why we put locks on our front door. There's a reason why I can't go to Canada, Mexico, or any other country that you can
Country.
name. Not one.
That's correct. You're
Without going through the proper process.
yes.
So why does that make me or you or anybody else racist to say that, hey, we need to make sure who's coming into our country is actually who they say they are?
Yes. So the thing is they have to be able to use these labels that they've ended up being able to make. I mean, they ended up being able to come up with Black Lives Matter when it's all lives that matter. And the
Well,
thing
it was
is, I
also run
understand
by it was run by a committee of white people, which was the weirdest thing about that.
most definitely. And the thing is it was another money grab. It was another way, and they ended up being able to. It was just so it comes back to that same thing that we end up going into a country. We end up being able to pit either race or religion and then sell arms to the both sides. Well, it's the same thing when you come here and you pit a black person against a white person. When you start telling people in America that we're racist and we're the biggest, a huge melting pot of all races and religions, and then you're going to end up trying to convince somebody or have somebody second thought to be able to say, am I racist? Like, no, wait, I raised a black kid. I had a couple black girlfriends. I've had Chinese. I've had multiple different races. Um, why am I even questioning if I'm racist or not? I'm not a freaking racist person. There's not a racist bone in my body because I'm white, because I have an American flag, because I drive a big truck, because I'm a big white, male, dominant male, alpha male. That makes me so that way now I'm like, no, what? You got to take away my integrity. You got to take away that I'm a white male working, getting up and feeding my family and taking care of my family and friends. Um, and they've done that. Done a great
Yeah,
job of that.
they've done an
Of
amazing job on that.
demasculizing and taking away. I mean, what happened to women's lib? Of being able to empower these women. Where are they going through Corona? Where are they going through and standing up for women's rights? I don't hear an outcry dealing with um, demasculation and or even dealing with the whole abortion thing. I mean, the thing is a woman has a right. I'm not pro or con dealing with the situation. There are certain circumstances it's up to that person. But when you're looking back at Obama and the programs that they ended up putting out, all of this has all led up to allowing Joe Biden into the White House that is not even running the White House. He's not in control. He has all these puppet people controlling the situation, saying that for me, and I don't believe that he won the election legally. I think they ended up manipulating the system. They manipulated people in all these different positions. They manipulated the Corona situation. They have basically made a mockery of the United States of America.